So again, good morning, everyone. I know some of you have traveled quite a way to be here. I think the furthest is New Jersey, based on talking to everybody. I think I see our New Jersey folks over here. So welcome, and thank you all for being here again to honor this momentous occasion. Today we are here to celebrate and honor Barbara Shipnuck. As I look around the room. As I look around the room, I'm reminded of her tremendous impact on our community. We're joined here by friends, family, and colleagues, and also importantly, Supervisor Shipnuck is here. They're here, her fellow leaders of past, current, and future. We are and also just to let everybody know, we're recording today's event for those of you who wish to share it with family, friends, or colleagues, and we're streaming live on Zoom. Supervisor Shipnuck was an extraordinary individual and a trailblazing leader. And I think it's apropos that we are celebrating Women's History Month and March 8th as International Women's Day. She was the first woman elected to the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, serving District 2 from 1979 through 1994. During her tenure on the board, she championed many social programs. But most notable to us, the health system, was Supervisor Shipnuck's early realization that the health and success of Natividad was critical to making quality care available for all Monterey County residents. As many counties around the state were closing their county hospital, Supervisor Shipnuck fought relentlessly to keep Natividad open. Over the years, public safety nets have become the foundation of America's healthcare system, including here at Natividad. Natividad and the public safety net have become especially important during the recent pandemic. We are essential to the public good and the public health. We are vital, and we are leaders in the healthcare delivery in our community, in the state, and in the nation. Supervisor Shipnuck embodied this role the public health system served, and she had the vision to secure Natividad's role in Monterey County. Supervisor Shipnuck was instrumental in the creation of the Natividad Foundation in 1988, and the Natividad Board of Trustees in September of 1989. I see Manuel over there. And under her leadership, Supervisor Shipnuck was also critical in securing funding for Natividad's modern buildings and campus that you see here today. I also want to thank especially Supervisor Adams and Supervisor Askew and their leadership in general, but especially their leadership in kicking off this very special recognition of Supervisor Shipnuck. We stand today in the newly named Barbara Shipnuck Professional Center in recognition of Supervisor Shipnuck's service, dedication, and tireless work to continue to provide high-quality care to all residents of Monterey County. The services provided in this building represent the care continuum offered by the Monterey County Health System: primary care, specialty care, and behavioral health services. And when you think about it, this is exactly what Supervisor Shipnuck advocated for. I'm happy today to be Master of Ceremonies and share in this event with you all, but I'm excited also to introduce the many speakers. So what I'd like to do first is introduce my friend and colleague, Natividad Foundation CEO and President, Jennifer Williams, to say a few remarks. Welcome, Jennifer.
Good morning. As Dr. Harris said, Barbara Shipnuck was a visionary who was instrumental in establishing Natividad Foundation in 1988. That year, she gave an interview to the Salinas Californian, and she said, "If the hospital is going to ever be saved, the time is now. Only now is there a private foundation in place to help the hospital. Only now is it poised to capture potential business from growth in North Salinas. In my judgment, this is our last chance. We must attempt to make it whole." And here we are. The people who came before me The people who came before us, the people who surround us now, have helped the foundation raise and secure more than $52 million for the hospital to provide essential services for everyone. This year, Natividad Foundation celebrates its 35th anniversary. In fact, Natividad Foundation has been selected to receive the 2023 Small Business of the Year Award from the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce. This recognition and all that the foundation has achieved was set in motion by Barbara 35 years ago. It is my honor to thank the Shipnuck family and the many friends of Barbara whose generosity and love helped bring the signage for the Barbara Shipnuck Professional Center and this event here today through your gifts. Gifts made in memory or in tribute to a life well lived carry that person's legacy far into the future. So today we thank the major donors to the Barbara Shipnuck Fund, Ann Hill, the James Irvine Foundation and Judge Lydia Villarreal, Louisa Shipnuck Jones, Sandra Reese, and Susan J. West. We also thank the friends of Barbara Shipnuck and our other donors, including 2 anonymous donors, Marjorie Austin, Harriet Diamond, and Myron Kamisher, Dr. Marilyn Follick, Faith Feuerman, Susan Graham, Diana and Sheldon Horowitz, Susan Lee, Maria Osorio, Julia and Wayne Tucker, Nita Scott and Dan Tyler, Judy White, myself, and Dr. Susan G. Zepeda. These donors came together and gave more than $35,000 in memory of Barbara. For each of the donors that I just named, I am happy to share my favorite gift with you. And in fact, my daughter's boyfriend has learned how to earn points with me by giving beautiful Matsui nursery orchids, and you'll see those around here today. Andy Matsui was a friend of Barbara's, and his daughter, Teresa Matsui, who now runs the family business, was thrilled to contribute her token in recognition of your generosity. So before you leave today, please take an orchid with you so that you remember our deep gratitude for what you've done. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next, I would like to invite Supervisors Askew and Adams to the podium. Like Barbara Shipnuck before them, Supervisor Askew and Supervisor Adams are 2 of our current trailblazing leaders. Thank you both for coming today.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On January 6, 2022, we lost a champion for Natividad when Monterey County Supervisor Barbara Shipnuck passed away after a stroke at age 79. Barbara's legacy of fighting for health equity lives on every day here at Natividad as we continue to fight and to provide excellent health care services to everyone in Monterey County. I can speak for a number of people in this room, including Supervisor Wendy Rudaskew, Supervisor Jane Parker, Judge Lydia Villarreal, and many others, women, who stand on Barbara Shipnuck's shoulders. She trailblazed for so many of us and helped open doors that we were able to continue to walk through. Supervisor Rudaskew and I are proud to have requested via board referral 2022.13 that a portion of Natividad Medical Center be named after Supervisor Barbara Shipnuck to recognize her great work while serving as the first woman in Monterey County Board of Supervisors that represented District 2. Thanks to all of you in attendance as we celebrate the adoption of the resolution renaming Building 400, not quite as exciting, of Natividad to the Barbara Shipnuck Professional Center. A native of Brooklyn and graduate of Brandeis and Harvard, Barbara Shipnuck embraced Monterey County as her home as soon as she and her husband, David Shipnuck, moved here in 1968. David taught economics at Hartnell, while Barbara taught social studies at North Salinas High. After their daughter Louisa and son Alan were born, Barbara Shipnuck became active in local politics, taking a leadership position with the League of Women Voters while pursuing postgraduate studies at the Monterey College of Law. She was 36 in 1978 when she decided to run for the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, District 2, a campaign on which I'm happy to report that I was helpful. I worked for her on that campaign, and I'm proud of it. District 2 at that point represented most of the Salinas area. She campaigned out of the family home on Fairfax Drive in Salinas against an incumbent who was funded by very big business interests. She was fueled by idealism and passion. Barbara once bragged that she went through 5 pairs of shoes knocking on doors during that 10-month campaign, and I can attest to it. She did. Which we all know, however, she won handily. Also, as results of the win, Barbara Shipnuck was the first and only female on the board. I like to say that she was the original glass ceiling breaker. We kind of call that an OG for the Monterey County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Shipnuck would go on to be reelected 3 times and served until the end of 1994. She served as an inspiration for future women leaders in Monterey County, including myself and my colleague, Supervisor Wendy Rudascu.
Being the only woman on the board meant that Supervisor Shipnuck wasn't just a glass ceiling breaker. The position challenged her to know as much, if not more, than the men. She was well-versed in land use, in water issues, the courts, planning, public works, housing, and more. Supervisor Shipnuck also said she's said to have known the budget like the back of her hand. And I believe that. That's a big budget, a lot to keep track of. But her education in law also proved helpful time and time again. But perhaps most importantly, and why we're here today, is because, in the words of Joe Lavernus from Voices of Monterey Bay, Barbara Shipnuck was a promoter of health and human service programs in Monterey County, particularly programs to improve health care, childhood education, and elder care. She advocated on behalf of local counties for safety net legislation and affordable health care as a leader with the National Association of Counties. As a supervisor, she also took a high-profile role as president of the California State Association of Counties and was named County Leader of the Year by American City and County, a national magazine, in 1993. Later that year, she ran for Congress. Supervisor Shipnuck placed 3rd in the primary. Our next speaker, Congressman Sam Farr, hi Sam, defeated her, but they remained friends until her death. However, one highlight of her campaign was that she was profiled in a New York Times story about organized efforts to get more women elected to office. And as the 7th woman ever to serve on the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, I stand on the work that she did, and I stand on her shoulders. Supervisor Shipnuck's dedication to serving and improving the health of women, children, and families in Monterey County should be an inspiration to all of us. I know it is to me, and it is a guiding light in my work as county supervisor representing District 4. The resolution that the Board of Supervisors adopted unanimously, approving the naming of Barbara Shipnuck Professional Center, recognizes her profound, enduring, and extraordinary contribution to the health care of current and future generations of Monterey County residents. And those kinds of things don't just happen by chance. I'm going to highlight a few of the actions that she had to take and lead in order to get us to where we stand today. Barbara led the creation of the Natividad Medical Foundation in 1988. She led the creation of the Board of Trustees for Natividad in 1989. She led the hiring of new management in 1989 to plan for new hospital buildings. She led the effort to place a 1/2 cent sales tax on the ballot in 1989 to raise money for Natividad. The tax passed, but was later held unconstitutional. So not everything that we're doing is popular, but it takes that kind of leadership to move big projects like this forward. She engaged Wall Street to invest in certificates of participation in 1993, earning $75 million, and again in 1994 to secure hundreds of millions of dollars to pay for the buildings here on this campus. I want to thank personally the many friends and family members and colleagues who are here today to celebrate Supervisor Shipnuck's life as a glass ceiling breaker and her many accomplishments. Pass it back to our MC today, but thank you again for being here. Thank you for celebrating with us. It means the world to me to be able to serve my community in this way, and I recognize every single day that it's because of the leadership of women like Barbara Shipnuck that I get to serve my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rudasky and Supervisor Adams. Next, I would like to invite and introduce Congressman Sam Farr. Our next speaker served on the Board of Supervisors, like was mentioned earlier, from 1975 to 1980, and was board chair in 1979, working with Supervisor Shipnuck in that first year, I believe, and then later served in the California Assembly and then in Congress from 1993 to 2017. Welcome, Congressman Farr.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just deeply honored to be here. You know, in Congress, they used to say, if you're the fifth speaker, it's all been said. It just hasn't been said by everybody. So I want to just put it into perspective of what Barbara did in breaking the glass ceiling. Think back, some of you remember 1978. It was the year that Prop 13 passed. She was in the same campaign as Prop 13 in June of 1978. It was the year that we had the drought. It was, and with Prop 13 passing, it wiped out local government money because the property taxes, which strongly supported most of county government, was wiped out by about 30, 40, 50%. At the time, this place, this county land here where the jail was, and the Natividad was sort of the armpit of Salinas. It was old buildings. It was a disaster, both the jail and the hospital. At the time, I was on the Board of Supervisors, being appointed by Jerry Brown, and then elected in what year is that? 76. In that election that Leon went to Congress. My campaign manager at the time happened to be Mary Adams. And the irony, she's now serving in the district which she got me elected to in 1976. So to put it in perspective is that there had never been a woman on the Board of Supervisors. In fact, I don't think the county positions had any women in the heads of departments. So she was coming into a really strong male environment. And there was a lot of expressions at that time that women shouldn't be involved in politics. They should stay home, take care of their family. She had a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and you know, she ought to be at home. Well, I just had our first child, Jessica, in June of 1978. So I decided that I could do something because I was a big supporter of Barbara. By the way, she beat Ed Norris. And Ed Norris' job was the administrator of a private hospital in Salinas. So he had no interest in trying to fix the Natividad problem. Natividad was essentially a failing hospital, but it was the hospital of last resort for for people that were farm workers and for the communities at low income. There was no, insurance didn't cover hospitalization at Memorial or anyplace else. So if you didn't have insurance, you had to come here, sort of the welfare hospital. And the counties at that time were getting rid of their county hospitals, just saying, we can't afford them, let's get rid of them. And that was sort of the pressure on the Board of Supervisors. And we had a hearing, and we had to move it to Art now because this is before 1978, of whether the board was going to keep Natividad or close it. And Ed Norris was a big advocate for closing it. Of course, if he'd closed it, his business would have improved. In fact, he had so many conflicts of interest in today's world, he would never have been able to vote on these things. So that, Barbara was involved in Legal Women Voters. Legal Women Voters were covering the county supervisors' hearings all the time. So I figured, what can I do? I'm a male, supportive of this woman. So what I did is I brought my daughter Jessica, 2 months old, in a basket to the Board of Supervisors and held her in my arm with a bottle. And somebody ran over to the Salinas, California, and across the street and says, "You got to capture this picture." Not only did they capture it, they ran it on the front page of the Salinas, California. And Barbara called me and she said, "Thank you, that helps, that helps." So it was, and when she's sworn in 1979, Prop 13 had passed, there was no money. This place was not going to survive. But what Barbara did, not only in changing, in breaking the glass ceiling, she changed the politics of county government. Our emphasis on the board was just land use and public works. Nobody gave a damn about human services, social services. The departments were not known much about. And she brought them and made them agenda items. She brought them up in the budgets. She changed the agenda. She changed the discussion. She changed the politics. I remember riding so many times with Senator Boxer when we were traveling back to Washington, commuting, and sitting with her. And one of her fondest sayings was, elections have results. Well, the 1978 election had a huge result, because it not only changed the dynamics of Monterey County politics and the agenda of Monterey County politics, but it had ripple effects statewide. And she went on to become chair of all the 58 counties have an association, the County Board of Supervisors. She not only joined it, she became president of it and got involved in the National Association of County Governments and was recognized nationally. I think the reason I got elected in that primary in 1980 was there were 27, Leon Panetta said he was going to go work for Bill Clinton, and therefore was going to leave Congress. He'd been elected in the 1980 election, and in the 1992 election, but wouldn't give up his election to the seat until the Senate was going to confirm him as the director of OMB. So he'd announced that he was intending to leave the board, and friends came to me and said, "You're an assembly member, you've got a good name recognition, why don't you run?" I was pretty happy in the assembly, but I didn't want to not have tried to run. So, and they also said, if you file, you'll clear the deck. Nobody's going to run against you. Well, I filed, and 27 other people filed, including 10 Democrats, and I was so damn mad that Barbara Shipnuck, because I think that was the one person that could beat me, was Barbara Shipnuck. And it was a conflict, because I loved Barbara. She was tough. She used to, I remember on the Board of Supervisors, this time really pissed me off, but I later on realized I really loved it. She would, after I would speak, she would, and this is her old school teacher, and she said, "Well, if Sam Farr had really done his homework, he would have said these things." Now, all of you know Barbara. She'll correct you on, And then I realized, yeah, I should have said those things. So anyway, here she is running against me, and I thought, she's going to win. I got to run it. But I knew it was a special election, and one thing I realized is that as an assembly member, I had really paid a lot of attention to San Benito County and to Santa Cruz County. Meantime, she was paying all her attention to this National Association and State Board of Supervisors. So I had a much stronger base. And then, I think what probably defeated her was that Bill Monning jumped into the race. And so it was who was going to be the top Democrat to run against the Republican. And when the primary election was over, I came in first, Monning second, and Barbara third. But then, see what Barbara did, as she had spent all this time worrying about how do we get some money to build this hospital. We're going to save it. We're going to save it not by rehabbing. We're going to build a whole new incredible institution, and she had to raise the funds. And Barbara was so good at being able to go out and get money, better than anybody on the Board of Supervisors. And the concept of let's pass a county bond issue to support it, other counties hadn't done anything like that, and then use that bond issue as the seed money to go out and get private sector and other public sector monies. Elections have consequences. Barbara Shipnuck made those consequences. She made Salinas a better city. She made the county of Monterey a better county. And I am so glad that we're able to name this building after her. And I told Louisa when I came in here, I said, this is a big deal, Louisa. No other politician has had a building named after him around here. Congratulations, Barbara.
Thank you, Congressman Farr. Really appreciate it. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Even I thought I knew a lot already about the history, but I'm learning a lot. And it's been definitely fascinating and re-emphasized why we're doing this today. Next, I would like to introduce the teams from Congressman Lofgren, Congressman Jimmy Panetta. I know that they are in D.C. The last couple of days. I know they had a big event yesterday, I believe, based on discussing with Congresswoman Lofgren last week. And then also Senator Ana Caballero, I believe she has a representative. I can see you there, Marissa. And then Assemblyman Rivas as well. I saw Dominic earlier. They are busy in Sacramento, so their folks are here. So first I'd like to introduce Dustin Weber and Rachel Dan, if she is here. Is she? There. Hi, Rachel. Who are going to present a congressional declaration jointly from both Congressman Panetta and Congresswoman Lofgren.
Thank you. It's tough to follow Sam, but I used to work for him, so where'd he go? Anyway. Okay. There you are. Good morning. I think it's still morning. My name is Rachel Dan. I am the District Director for U.S. Representative Jimmy Panetta, and it's an honor to be here for the Congressman at today's dedication and tribute for former Monterey County Supervisor Barbara Shipnuck. Unfortunately, the Congressman couldn't attend today's event, but he sends his greetings and, more importantly, his appreciation for the work that Natividad Medical Center does in Monterey County to provide quality health care for all of our residents. Representative Panetta is honored to be able to remember and recognize the work of Barbara Shipnuck from Monterey County and realizes that he and so many others stand on the shoulders of the former supervisor and her many contributions to our county. As the first woman to serve on the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, and throughout her 16 years of service, Barbara Shipnuck shattered glass ceilings and served Monterey County with distinctions. Barbara was a champion for the care of families and children in Monterey County and worked hard to ensure Natividad Medical Center was able to keep its doors open so that it could continue to serve all of the residents of our county. Today's dedication of the Barbara Shipnuck Professional Building is a fitting tribute and memorial to her lifetime of service, leadership, and local advocacy for the vulnerable in Monterey County, as we continue to ensure that women, families, and all of Monterey County continue to be inspired by the enduring legacy of Barbara Shipnuck. Thank you.
Well, I suspect the Congressman is right. I think I'm number like 8 or 9 now, so I'll be brief. I know the Congresswoman would also want to express her regrets for not being able to attend in person, and would want to echo everything Representative Panetta's office has said. This is such a wonderful project, and congratulations on today's ribbon cutting. I know the Congresswoman has only been representing this area for about 8 weeks now, but while we're new, we're trying to learn fast, and I know she's mentioned a number of times how warm and welcoming and just how great everyone's been. in getting us connected and learning about the new district. So congratulations again on today, and with Congressman Panetta's office, we will be presenting this resolution. You want me to go? It's like this. Which way do you want us to go?
Thank you, Dustin and Rachel. Next, I would like to welcome Marissa Hernandez, who's representing Senator Caballero's office, if she would like to come up. And Dominic, are you also going to join representing Assemblyman Rivas' office, I believe?
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here on behalf of Senator Caballero and be able to present this joint resolution from Senator Caballero, Senator John Laird, Assemblymember Robert Rivas, and Don Addis to the Natividad Hospital Foundation on the naming of the late Barbara Shipnuck, who was, as we know, a former County Board of Supervisor and also a steadfast supporter of the healthcare system in the county. So as we know, she fought vigorously to keep the Natividad Medical Center open and also modernize its mode of governance. So I just want to say, today we're not only commemorating Ms. Shipnuck, but also embracing the importance of healthcare access and well-being of our community. Healthcare is especially important to our rural communities who struggle with access and financial resources. And Natividad has demonstrated to be a driver to ensuring that our families have access to quality, affordable, and culturally competent healthcare services. So in a time that, more importantly now, that a lot of our rural hospitals are closing and are struggling financially, Natividad serves as this model for others and a reminder that access to all levels of healthcare are critical to creating and sustaining our healthy communities.
Before you get nervous, the staff rule's a minute or less, so it won't be long. But I know on behalf of Assemblymember Rivas, he truly wishes he could be here today because it's not only to honor the groundbreaking efforts, the glass ceiling that Barbara Shipnuck broke. It's certainly the mark of her leadership that is reminded to us by the problems she turned into. It is no small issue to turn into public health care and say, we're going to save a hospital. But we're not just going to save a hospital, it's going to become sustainable. So that as we talk about those ripple effects, as we come out of this now long pandemic, as we look outside the window and we can see the fields where so many of our residents needed healthcare services in a place like this, it is absolutely essential, as my colleague Marissa mentioned, too many hospitals today struggle. But it's the leadership of those like Barbara Shipnuck that put Natividad in a place like this today where it's at a bedrock of our community. Healthcare is a foundation to how we live in our community. So on behalf of Assemblymember Rivas, on behalf of our state delegation, Senators Caballero, Senator Laird, and Assemblymember Addis, it's truly our honor to present you this resolution commemorating this occasion today. Thank you.
Thank you, both Marissa and Dominic, much appreciated. And without any further ado, I think the most exciting part is to introduce the Shipnuck family. They're joined by many family and friends, so I'd like to invite Louisa Allen, Diana Horowitz, and then Ann Hill. All are here, as well as many other family members. So, Alan, I believe you're going to be saying a few words, and I welcome you all to the stage.
Well, my role here is to say a lot of thank yous. We're very gratified and humbled by this turnout and this grand occasion. I think it's really neat for my kids to be reminded how cool their grandmother was. And this just feels like an exclamation point on quite a unique life and dedicated to community and public service. So it's very gratifying to be here, and can't thank everybody enough for making this such a to-do. Need to acknowledge some of the folks who have really brought this whole thing to life. It starts with Dr. Harris, Andrea Rosenberg, and Hillary Fish here at Natividad. They were great champions and supporters of this whole effort. We couldn't have done it without them. Really need to thank Ann Hill. My mom's longtime best friend, a very tenacious presence in this whole process. Sent hundreds of emails. I'm sure Dr. Harris and Andrea and everyone else can attest to that. And for Luis and I, we were dealing with a lot of stuff after my mom's death, and it was really Ann who made this happen, along with a great assist from my sister. So thank you, Ann. And then my mom's old kitchen cabinet, all the old ladies who were there from the very beginning of sorry, they really made the campaign happen to get her elected, and they were part of this whole campaign. So thank you to Susan West, Kayla Bumba, Nancy DeSerpa, Judge Lydia Villarreal, and Supervisor Jane Parker. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I do want to tip my cap to all the donors. They've been mentioned already, but when we started this effort, we told the folks here at Natividad, we don't want you to spend any of your own money. Like, we're going to fundraise and we're going to make this happen. And I don't think we ever anticipated we'd raise $36,000, which not only covered all the signage and everything else, but has also helped with some other things. So thank you for all your generosity. I would like to mention that if anyone is moved by the spirit of this occasion, you can still donate to Natividad and talk to the folks here. They'll be happy to assist with that. But the generosity of this community is wonderful, so thank you. I do want to thank the Monterey County Board of Supervisors. Their support and their advocacy really made this happen. So to Supervisor Root Askew and Supervisor Adams, thank you so much. You guys really pushed this forward in an important way. And going to those hearings, it brought back a lot of memories for my sister and I. We kind of grew up in the board chambers and doing homework after school, and for both of us, gave us a profound gratitude for local government and what you guys do, and an understanding of how important it is. And so yeah, I don't think I really understood my mom's job when she was elected. I was just a little kid, but the air was always alive with big talk and important details. But the phrase I heard more than any other as a kid was Natividad Hospital. It was a background in our lives. And so to be here today is super meaningful. And whatever our metaphysical beliefs are, I have no doubt my mom is somewhere smiling down upon all this and just enjoying the heck out of it. So thanks to all of you for being here. I'm going to bring Dr. Harris back, and then we're going to end all the talking. We'll do a fun ribbon cutting, and then we have some food and drink, and we can schmooze a little bit. So thanks to all of you.